So guys, good afternoon. I want to review the episode of Noir Assassination Play. This is the third episode of the Japanese anime, and I do want to say that this is top tier. This is one of the episodes that you need to watch. Like they say, when you watch a Japanese anime, there's the rule of three. You watch the first three episodes, and I really think that this is just one of these episodes where they really just had to kick ass and take names, and they definitely do this episode a lot of great justice. And I also feel that this episode has definitely one of the best, probably the best action and fight scenes in the entire series. And then I also really appreciate the villains in this episode because um, they actually offer some really interesting existential dialogue and talking points. And also, I like this episode because mostly the anime really focuses on Kirika. She's the main character. Marielle's like the main character, but this episode more so focuses on Marielle. And I also think that, before I start reviewing, that this episode really is about, choices and life and the path of life that we take. Like Marielle has chosen the path of an assassin. Despite anything that has happened to her. Like, I think that, early on, she had the opportunity of, after her parents died, she could have just run away and told and her uncle could have told the soldats, okay, Marielle's not going to be part of this. Please let her live in peace. But she chose the path of an assassin. And I think the other path of an assassin is knowing that, there's going to be no grave for you. Where you die is where you die, really. And then also, too, like when you're an assassin, nobody knows your real name. You can always have an alias. So it's almost like knowing that you're going to live a life of sadness, knowing that you're going to live a life of that, you're going to die with nothingness. And it's definitely, upsetting because it kind of makes us feel more sad for these characters. Kirika is really propelled by the fact that she made an agreement with Marielle because I believe in the first episode, Marielle is assigned to kill Kirika. Like, the whole thing about Kirika is that once she realizes her past, Marielle will fulfill her first assignment, which is to kill Kirika. So the whole series is propelled on the fact that we know that Kirika is destined to be killed by Marielle, which adds a level of somberness. And then also, when we see this episode, it kind of gives us a character study of Marielle, which is her path is that she knows that in the end of the day, a life of an assassin is not a happy life. It's a life of being consistently stalked and under surveillance, and understanding that once you're dead, really, there's no story about you. You're insignificant. You're significant until you're dead, really. So it's definitely very depressing, but definitely, it hits on what a lot of people like about this anime. It hits on very darker and more serious themes. This is not like Cowboy Bebop, where I think that, sometimes people can say that you have an assassin story and you add a bunch of humor or levity to it. Like, this is really just saying that, the reality is, if you are an assassin or in that lifestyle, it's never, ever a happy experience. There may be some levity, but it's mostly just a dark and somber experience. There's a level of realism when you look at this anime. So without further ado, I'm just going to move my charger. But without further ado, I'm going to review this scene by scene and talk about it. And I have my handy dandy notebook, bitches. So it opens with rainy weather, and Marielle is walking into a cemetery, and there is another woman paying respects. And it's also very interesting because this woman, I'll call her the widower, she doesn't have an umbrella with her. So obviously it's interesting aesthetic because honestly, if somebody's doing that, there could be multiple things. Maybe she has depression, maybe she doesn't care about her well-being, and sometimes people develop that type of mentality when they are hurting on the inside. They don't care about their health. For example, like, I walk around without a coat during wintertime. Like, sometimes I think about endurance. Sometimes I think about how I don't like it when people tell me to wear a coat because I don't want to feel like a little kid, or I don't want to go back to that time where people who don't care about me actually care about me. I remember working at a job where I was bullied a lot, and I remember, always shoveling snow outside the store without a coat on, and I kind of said to myself, I don't like that you're telling me to wear a coat because really deep down you bully me and don't care about me. So that could be part of her psychology of why she doesn't wear a coat. Doesn't she doesn't have an umbrella is because either she's depressed or maybe she lacks a sense of caring about herself because life has hurt her. That's an interesting aesthetic. We got to have those things with our character. We got to make them interesting or have some things that are a little off about them, if it works for our characters. The other thing is that Marielle realizes that the widower is actually carrying belladonna lilies and putting it on a grave, so it definitely, is a foreshadowing method to say that they have some connection. That's usually what happens in a lot of stories. I also like that it's raining, like very great sound design. And then also the other part of it is that it's definitely like blue. Lots of blues in this episode. So it definitely kind of illustrates that there's something sad and tragic. And then you're kind of hearing Yuki Kajiura's instrumental really. So it's just trying to say like, no matter what you see in this episode, it is sad and somber. And I really don't mind this at this point because I think that most episodes with Noir don't start this way. This is the third episode. And I think that, as I said, I think that what they're trying to tell you is that this is not like, this is not going to be, Cowboy Bebop or Trigun or a lot of those other shows where or even like, not Dead Man Wonderland, but Soul Eater, where you have assassins and they're kind of goofy and silly. This is just trying to tell you that this is a serious, the tone of the show is going to be nonstop seriousness. Then after the intro, they realize that the person that they have to face is Albert Dew. It is speculated that Albert had a rival businessman killed in a car accident of that guy driving off a bridge into water. And that's very interesting because there is a film called Get Carter with Michael Caine. And there is a scene where there's a woman in the car, she gets locked in the back and somebody bumps into the car and falls into water. But that's been in a lot of films, and a lot of mafia films where somebody is put into a vehicle and they're sent underwater and all that. Or even in the film The Crow, I think it was Fun Boy, that's the way he dies. I think it's Fun Boy or Skank, that's the way he dies. They put a firework, between his crotch. He is sent over a ramp and he explodes before going into water. So that's kind of been like something you see in a lot of Western films or American films. Somebody being drove into a body of water in a car. I said it was kind of funny how you see Marielle use her pool table because she has a lot of books. She has a lot of notepads and pictures and photocopies of people and a printer and her laptop. Obviously, it's definitely, a quirk. But I actually understand why she does that because it's really, really spread out, really. So it's interesting that she uses a billiard table for that. I do think would have been interesting in the series if they had Kirika and Marielle, play billiard balls. That would be interesting. But also, too, the other part of it is that the other part of it is that it does a lot for Marielle because it kind of says that she's not really just an assassin. She almost treats everything like a detective case. She has to kind of know who she's assassinating, who this person's affiliated with. She has to kind of do all of her research, really, So she's almost like a detective, and I think that is also good because it makes her a bit of a heroine. Because the story she's told is that the person that hired her for the job is the widower that she met, really. So there is a sense of her becoming a little bit of an anti-hero while she's avenging a murder, almost, so I like this dynamic they do with Marielle because they kind of show that she has a very detective-like approach. There may be a sense of, being an assassin to, kill a worse or bad guy, really, so she's very much like an anti-hero. Then what happens is that during the daytime, Marielle unexpectedly meets the widower at the cemetery, and it looks like to me that she puts the flowers that she brought on her dead husband's grave, and that's really cool. That shows a lot of sweetness and respect for Marielle. And I really like that because it shows that she does have a bit of a kind heart. And again, it makes her dimensional character, shows her as human, caring. And I also feel it says that, I think relationships and human connection is very important to her. And I think that once those things get stripped away from her, it's something that is very painful for her. So definitely, I think she kind of emphasizes with people who lose people through through assassinations. Like she lost a couple of relatives that way, and it's kind of hinted that she may have had a lover or a husband or a friend that was close to her that died that way as well. So she definitely kind of emphasizes there might be some sense of trauma bonding. So it shows her a dimensional character. But the other thing too is that it cuts back to the flat with Kirika and Marielle. They're preparing for the assassination, and this is a very controversial scene in the whole entire series, because what happens is that they aim guns at each other, and then Kirika thinks to herself, "So we're going to do it." Marielle thinks to herself, "Yes, we are," and she kind of grins her eyebrows. And the other thing too is that they're dressed in pajamas. So like what happens is Kirika is wearing I think like a tank top and small shorts. Marielle is wearing a one-piece dress. So there's a lot of people that kind of hint that maybe do it means that they're that they're sexual with each other. There is another episode, the Intocabile, where they're actually in bed with each other. So it could mean two things: that they could have fucked, or they could have just shared a bed. And I mean, I hate the stereotype, but there's a lot of times where with women, and I know like this in college, like there's a lot of women that have sleepovers as adults, really, and most women don't find that a lesbian thing. Like most women are cool with that. And I remember like when I went to college, we had to we went on a field trip in college to museums, and the women shared a bedroom, so a lot of women were okay with the sleepover. But it's also funny with the men, really, because it's almost like what Riley Freeman said, nigga, you gay, that type of thing, really. So like that does happen a lot too, where sometimes there could be a tease that they're lesbians and they have a sexual relationship, but I think sometimes when you step back a little bit, they're not really set up as lesbian characters. So I think that when people look at this scene, it really kind of hints that they might be lesbians, because obviously guns are phallic symbols. They're not wearing a lot of clothes. They actually changed their clothes after this. So, they could have just had a quick fuck before getting ready. That could have been the thing. But a lot of people debate that maybe there could have been a lesbian relationship between them. But again, you don't know. But it's also stereotyping a bit, because not every single time that two women develop a friendship and a long-term friendship means that they're gonna be, they're gonna be scissor me timbers. They're gonna be scissor me timbers. So you can't say There's not enough to give you that they're lesbians, but a lot of people speculate from this scene that they're scissor me timbers. With my reviews, guys, I have to add some comedy into it. It helps make this entertaining. So in the next scene, what happens is that we hear Marielle's voiceover, and she tells Kirika the blueprint of the building and where they're going to enter. And then what happens is Kirika goes to the emergency exit. Marielle goes through the building. Marielle climbs the elevator shaft, and and during this montage, you hear Salvanos play just the instrumental, and it gets you really, really amped, really. Like, it makes you want to be like, okay, I want to see this shootout. I really want to see what's going to happen. And then also early in the episode, we feel for the widower. We see Dukes as the ultimate bad guy in this episode. So there's a lot of just, we want to see the bastard, get what he deserves, really. So there's a lot of senses of, emotion that's created. Marielle opens the door leading to Dukes' office. There's a great shot of Duke sitting in a chair, and behind him is a window with a bunch of window panels. So it looks like, about 18 rectangles. And it's also good because, there's there's a volumetric lighting. So, so it looks really cool. And then also Dukes is sitting in front of the window looking at the blue Paris sky, really. So it looks really, really good. It's a beautiful, use of the silhouette. Marielle just picks up her gun, aims it right in front of the camera in the direction of Duke. So it's a very good, noirish type of shot, really. So I really like this, and it happens at the very end of the song. So it really gives you a sense of where the song's starting to feel very intense, really. So it's a great, uses of intensity and crescendoing. One thing that needs to be highlighted from the anime noir is really that the usage of music and the editing with the music and where they put it in the show is transcendent, is expert. Like, honestly, all filmmakers should be who like this anime should be studying that, because they do it so expertly. The next thing that I'm going to say is that then lights pop on. Then it's revealed that Dukes knew that Marielle was coming, and then it's also revealed that the widower who initiated Marielle and Kirika, aka Noir, to assassinate Dukes. It's kind of revealed that she and Dukes are working together. So Marielle feels angry and betrayed, and realizes that that this is a situation that the bitch the bitch set me up. Next page. So what happens is that Kirika kills off 3 guards. They fall over. A door opens into the big office room. This creates a diversion, so Kirika and Marielle escape, and they're shooting all the the surveillance cameras in the hallways, and they head to the casino. In the casino, there's a big computer screen that goes on, and it spells out target :NOIR, and it gives a great suspense because Marielle and Kirika are on surveillance cameras. So obviously, Dukes knows where they are, and he knows how to kind of, set them up really. He knows how to kind of like trap them like rats almost. So, obviously Marielle is very upset that she was betrayed, and then she's just kind of like wondering, so who has to be setting me up really? Who is after me? Because it's clearly, it's people, it's clear the widower and Dukes were hired to work together and go after Noir really. So who is setting me up? So they kind of both realize it has to be, the unknown enemy, which is later to be revealed to be the Soldats. Kirika says the famous line, "The hunter and the hunted have switched places. That's all." It doesn't alter the fact we're dealing with human lives. And I would also say that I really like it when she says this, because there's this really great shot of, light coming from the computer screen. So, it's a good directional, like diagonal light really when they're saying that. So again, this is very, very excellent, noir cinematography. And also it creates the mood that this is, again, a dark series of element of mystery, just like a story lost in the shadows, like a shadowy story. Because obviously if you were to look at, there's a level of ambiguity, like looking at reading a book in a shadow, you don't see all of it really, so it definitely has an element of mystery, and like the cinematography captures that, and also like the background scores creating some very unsettling music, really works the scene. And then Marielle says her famous line, "They made our move, let's make ours." And I would say that, before I continue on, that I really think that this episode, while I've said that the ending has a question about morality, a majority of this episode is not like Lost Kittens, where it is like a consistent, like almost essay about morality and other things like this. Like, I really think that the message of this episode comes at the end in maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. But I think that as a whole, really, this is more focused on action. This is more focused on characters, setting up other characters, and also just really illustrating the type of people that Marielle and Kirika will face in the future. Definitely people who are expert assassins, and they know what they're doing, really. And there's a lot of action scenes. So I definitely think, as I said, I really think that this episode does a really good job at balancing all three. And I think that, with morality, I think that it's important to make sure that there's a point to the episodes, but it's not, it's kind of not overlapping. I think this is really just an episode to establish their level of professionalism as assassins. So I really think that they do a really great job with this, and this is why this episode is very strong. So what happens is revealed that Albert Du, he has a couple of teams of expert assassins expert squad assassins go after Kirika and Marielle. they're not that well. And it reveals that he has a plan one, plan two, plan three. Plan three is the shootout in the casino. So I do like, it shows a lot just through like, little bits of dialogue that he's a very organized. He has a really good plan, and like he definitely knows, he definitely has a sense of knowing what he's doing. He's not like a dumb assassin sending people out to get shot. He just like he has organization skills, and I think that is really highlighted. So I really respect them for developing his character out. I mean, he's one of those characters like Reinman. Like I think that if you did like a few episodes with Dukes, and you kind of like extended this into 3 or 4 episodes with these characters, I think you would have had a stronger show, really. I think that you get rid of episode 4, you get rid of episode 5, which is like the worst episode in the entire series. God help me review that episode. Definitely, you make this a 2-part with Dukes. I think that you would have had a stronger show, really. But he's definitely a really good character, a really good villain, one of the best villains in the entire show. But definitely, it's just really unfortunate that he didn't get more screen time. But he is a very fleshed out character. There is comic relief in these episodes. So what happens is that they get lured to the casino, the lights go out, and they kind of just accept that, this is just how these guys are going to take them out, really. So Marielle just sits at a table and she says, want a drink? Also, we have some popcorn, just kind of adding levity. That's good. You just throw it in there. It works. And they black out the casino, and then Kirika tells Marielle that she wants some popcorn, and Marielle just looks at her very befuddled because they're just about to die and be shot dead. And Kirika just wants some popcorn, really, So it's a good comic relief, Kirika throws popcorn all over the place, and she also sets up some tripwire traps that if you walk over it or run over it, glass will fall and shatter. And this is how she catches all the assassins. They either step on popcorn, and they step on like glass and other things like that. It's actually interesting because there's a shot of like something cylindrical that looks like glass. So it looks like maybe like a glass tampon. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm right on that one. But this part of the episode kind of highlights Kirika as an instinctual killer because she's using her heightened sense of hearing to kill these assassins, and also her ability to outfox. Like, honestly, this is possibly the best shootout scene in the entire series. And it's also very sad because what happens is that in later episodes, Kirika and Marielle and Chloe develop plot armor, and even Altana. And what that means is that they will not die even if they're in an impossible situation. They're not going to die because they're main characters. You look at the episode The Cold-Blooded Killer, where you see Marielle, and you see like Kirika and Chloe. People are aiming guns at them, and they're just doing a bunch of kicks and flips and all that stuff around a bunch of like trained assassins, like at least 50 people. That does not make sense. You look at the library shootout where Chloe's introduced, and you see police officers, at least like 30 people aiming guns at Kirika and Marielle, and they don't shoot them dead, really. They just wait until, they just wait until, Chloe comes in. And there's also a controversial scene where there's this police officer shooting a gun at Kirika, and he's missing because he's looking petrified at her. Like, these are the things that really hurt the series. So in earlier episodes like this, the outfoxing really works. But in later episodes, it's like they can't die because they're invincible characters. Or you look at the last episode, Noir, Kirika and Marielle are very good at shooting people. So why is it that Altana is able to run away from them and go behind something and then go down a cellar, really, and not get shot by 2 people who are the main characters? And it seems like in that one scene, Altana has some bulletproof, ability, or like some bullet dodge ability. So this episode, they do a really great job with the plot armor. Or even like, one of the last scenes of the entire series where Altana is going down. Altana is about to fall into a burning well with Kirika, and it's unrealistic, how Kirika survives that situation, really. So in these early episodes, they kind of say like, okay, we're gonna have some interesting kills, we're gonna do some interesting things, we're gonna do some interesting outfoxing. But in later episodes, they kind of rely a lot on plot armor, where a character is not gonna die because it's not their point to die yet in the series. So during the shootout, Yuki Kajiura Salvanos plays, and just remember, it's a very somber theme because honestly, it's highlighting the fact that Kirika knows the agreement that she made with Marielle, which is that after they find out the past, Marielle's going to do her first mission, and the first mission that she has is to kill Kirika. That's what she was hired to do, was to kill Kirika. And so while Kirika and Marielle are surviving and killing and fighting for their lives, really, and it's energetic, just understand that, your protagonist, the character you're going to feel the most about, Yuma Kirika, she's going forward with surviving in all these assassination games, these assassination plays, and the end result is that she's supposed to die. And we don't find that fair because obviously we feel sorry for her and all the things she's going through. So definitely Salvanos is trying to highlight, it's a somber moving forward. There are many good shots in this. I really like that many of the squad assassins, they're kind of smiling, grinning when they get close to Kirika and Marielle, even the widower, and it shows that they're definitely very sadistic. There's also great montages and surprises. It's very stylized. I really love the shot of the night vision goggles where it shows Kirika and Marielle in like a red tint because of the night vision vision. I like the shot of Dukes waving his hand and he does the fist pump thing. Like, that's really good body language. It just looks really, really cool, but it's a good body language to give his people reassurance, so that adds to a character. There's also a shot of Kirika that's really cool where she shoots a chandelier and it falls on 3 people. Definitely the climax, definitely, and with the widower, she's on like a rope and she descends down and she's gonna kill a Marielle with a hunting knife. But when she does that, the climax of Salvanos plays. So definitely this almost feels like a music video with how great and how they pick certain, like, almost like a poem. They pick certain parts of the song, certain parts of the instrumental to play during certain scenes just to make it flow really good. So definitely this is a very energetic killing scene, but also reminding you that it's an atmosphere of somberness. So it's supposed to energize you and make you feel sad at the same time. And I said this, and I also say this, call me weird, but Kirika looks really cute when she's like firing guns. She's like listening to all the, where people are stepping really on the popcorn and all that. Like, she looks like a really big cutie. She's designed to be cute, but she looks like a really big cutie to do all that. And if I'm correct, I think it's Rei Ayanami who's in Evangelion. Like, a lot of characters are based off of her, and Kirika is based off of Rei Ayanami. Very soft and sweet, and like has the red eyes like you see in a lot of anime characters. So it stems from Rei Ayanami from Evangelion, but she's designed to be like cute as well, really. But she does look really cute, just firing the guns and all that stuff. It may be a little weird, but that's just how I feel about her. She's cute. Marielle realizes that the widower is behind her, and because when she takes out the hunting knife, it's a cool scene because you see like a flash of fuchsia. And then, when she kind of like is about to stab Marielle, I think because Kirika's firing the gun, it brightens the area. And then Marielle sees the widower, she shoots up. And this is also like the worst scene in the entire episode, because what happens is that the show, like, Dukes is dead. Marielle clearly shot the widower, but there's no blood. And I've kind of explained this, that Noir was on Japanese television, and part of Japanese television is that they don't like violence. They're not about blood. So when you show blood, it can be X-rated and whatever. So they had to like make the censors very, very happy. So in order to like make sure they got on television and got that television money, they had to throw away a lot of the blood when that doesn't look realistic. So obviously you're seeing this woman lay on the ground. Clearly she's been shot. She would be still alive. The other thing is that the other part of it is that, if Marielle and Kirika have been through this episode killing people. Why is this person still alive? I can understand, but they don't set it up where maybe Marielle shot her and didn't give her like a lethal shot because she wanted her to confess and talk. Um, but definitely it just goes into realms of a lack of realism. They have a conversation with each other. Marielle says, I often thought people like us should visit cemeteries. We just seem, she says, Marielle says, I often thought people like us should not visit cemeteries. We just seem to fall into the graves at our feet ourselves. The widower responds with, almost as if the other side was calling out to us. Marielle responds with, I wonder if it is the dead that was blinding us. Widower, maybe so. Marielle, what is your name? Widower, what is the point of asking? Neither you or I have graves waiting to carve our names on. So it definitely kind of goes down to, the message of the series, which is, this is really about the life of an assassin, really. Like there's definitely no happy ending. Once you're dead, really. And ultimately, because you're an assassin, you're supposed to be anonymous, it's like, you mean something when you're alive, but you're erased forever, really. So it really is saying a meaningless existence, which adds to the level of sadness. And like I said about Cowboy Bebop, with Cowboy Bebop, the characters suffer trauma, but in this episode, this character suffered trauma, but also acceptance that this is the life they chose for themselves, and it does not lead to a happy ending. So they're almost like, accepting their own misery, but that's also a very human thing. I think a lot of people accept their own misery. There's people like me who, I work at a job, I'm very intelligent, I can be making so much money, I have a lot of vices, so I could be doing a lot better in life, but we all sometimes accept the life that we have, really, so that's a very, human thing, and that also goes with assassins, like in this episode of Noir, really. Yeah, I'm in Colorado. There's a beautiful sunset, and then what happens is that they cut back to their flat. It's raining in France, just like the first part of the episode. Parallel consistency, it starts the same way that it ends, kind of foreshadowing, the somber attitude. It's revealed that the hotel that Dukes and all the assassins were at was burned down. So more than likely, Dukes and all those other people were cremated in the fire. It's a way to cover up a murder. It's a way to cover up, the assassination play. So it obviously shows that, the widower, Dukes, and all the squad men, no matter if they had families, no matter if they meant something, no matter if they had a career, no matter if they were very skilled assassins or whatever, they're erased from history. And that's going to happen to Marielle and Kirika once they, die from getting killed by other assassins, or if they live to old age and they are in retirement. Either way, their death means that they have to be covered up, because that's part of being an assassin, is that you're erased from history once you're dead, really. So that's definitely very, very somber. Marielle visits her friend's grave one more time, and she says that not having a grave isn't something that saddens me, because it is the path I chose for myself. Marielle throws flowers into the air. I know it's not your grave. There's tears in her eyes, seeing the belladonna flowers fly in the air. So what if that's true? It's definitely, very ambiguous. But I think what it's trying to say is that that could be Marielle in the future and Kirika in the future. That even if they die, just like this grave not being Marielle's friend, really, that even if they die, they're going to matter to somebody. Marielle, there's some of Marielle's relatives that are still alive. So maybe the optimism of this episode is that even if you have a life like an assassin or whatever, there are some people that will know you. And there may be some people that will mourn you, even if they don't know where you're actually buried. You look at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier being a symbol of soldiers that have died in war and people don't know exactly where the remains are, or people go missing, or other things like that, really, So, there's always a sense of memory, and there's always a sense of memory. Like I've talked about with Kirika, that in the first episode, I kind of did a song um, about what it would be like to be a classmate that had a crush on Kirika and being heartbroken that she left. So what would happen in that hypothetical if there was a classmate that just developed mad depression because he's like, wow, there was this really beautiful, sweet girl. I never said what I could to her, and I'm always worrying about her. And then, never knowing what ever happened to her. There may always be a thought about you, no matter the life that you choose, whether it's a very immoral life like being an assassin, whether it's the situation of Kirka and Noir where they are assassins and they are like also mandated into that because of the soldat cult, really, so definitely like every life is precious, but it's very unfortunate that there are people like Kirka and Marielle who resonate with real people, who are forced into situations where they have to kill others to kill or be killed, really, and sometimes in that life, people don't matter because once you're dead, really, and people just don't want to remember you because you're associated with this thing or that thing that should be kept top secret, really, So it's a very interesting episode. It definitely, to me, is the best shootout in the series. Really great cinematography, really great storytelling, really good usage of a villain of the week with Dukes and the Widower, and giving you enough that gives you a lot of interest, but also in a sense, not overdoing them. It doesn't feel. It feels like they serve their purpose. They're very fleshed out characters. There's a lot of things that they do that are very minimal, but they mean a lot of big things, like Duke's showing that he has good leadership skills and how they do that with subtext and other like aspects, So very well done episode. It's definitely, I think, maybe even the second best episode of the series. Number one is Lost Kitten. I would say Assassin Play is the second best episode of this series.